Hi, this is Attila, and this is a video guide of Steel Division Normandy 44, and this is a battle group guide for the 21st Panzer Rommel Zirkus. This is a battle group which is mainly good in Phase C, I will say, but the way I set it up, it's good at pushing forward in all phase, depending what kind of opposition you're facing, the condition, and many other factors. But this is a battle group which I established over many rounds, mainly of 10 versus 10. But they seem to be able to survive most conditions. So let's start explaining what I did with this. So for phase A, some Spatroup, because you need recon, and some Aufklärer, which can deploy early on and hide around. It's very useful to have eyes on the enemy. Also, the vehicle that comes with it has some armor piercing capacity, which make it able to actually kill half-track. So that's useful to have. Then I bring the SPW 231, which is also having some armor piercing capacity, very light one, but also has the capacity to suppress the enemy with an HE power of 9 and an area of effect of 8. So 2 of them. I also bring these recon vehicle, which has more armor, well, actually heavy explosive. Good against infantry and whatever. It also has some AP power, so it's a good way to start against whatever type of position you're facing. Then for infantry, I bring a Führer, which will boost the morale of my troops, the experience and stuff. Then a Panzer Grenadier group, and that's it for phase A. Then phase B, I bring a lot of Pioneer, because they're not that expensive, and they are numerous, so you can have them during most of the battle. And I also bring some Sturm Pioneer, which will be effective at clearing town or forest. So you move with your tank and clear with the infantry in front. And it's pretty much the best choice I could do with this. I don't bring MGs because they come in phase B, and that's too late in my opinion. And since you're a battle group which is mainly offensive, by phase B you should be able to push forward. And then tank. The tank here are not that expensive, 75 points. That's something to keep in mind, so you can have many of them. I have a command version of it, and I have a regular version of it. The command will provide experience to these. And early on, if you're really aggressive and you get close to the enemy, you can actually kill many of them with these. At the same time, it's really not a powerful tank, and even the HE is pretty limited. So it's a bit of a risk. You better play very conservatively with them or very aggressively, depending the kind of opposition you're having in front of you. But there's I have very mixed feeling about this, because sometimes you can be awesome with them, other time you will completely lose them terribly. So it's a good thing nonetheless, and the closer the enemy is to you, the better, let's say. And for phase B, I bring some Bertha Sherman, which are captured Sherman, and these are Sherman, so pretty balanced. And what's interesting about the Sherman, no matter what faction you're playing, is that you have a good amount of machine guns, so they are good to suppress the infantry. And since they are in phase B, they have 10 armor, and the enemy Sherman will have 11 firepower, so you might have a chance to survive. What's useful here is that this Sherman can lead the way, and here you have the Panzer 4G, which has 2 stars of experience, but only 6 armor. This is very weak armor. That's why you need a Sherman. So the Sherman will attract the enemy fire, while the Panzer 4G will kill stuff. Whoops. Then finally for phase C, you have Koning Tiger P. You actually have 2 of them here. Actually, 2 here and 1 here with a lot of experience. What is interesting is that when you have all 3 of them deployed, it's very unlikely that you'll be stopped. But the problem with all this is that they are super expensive. So it's very unlikely that you'll keep enough points to deploy them super fast. But you should start with deploying the one with the most experience. And assuming you don't get shot in the flank, everything should go fine. Because if you look at the hit here, you only have 9 armor in the sides. Well, you have 19 in the front, so that's pretty good. But just don't get shot in the flank, and you'll be fine. Okay, then for support, I bring some supplies in phase A. That's because you'll see in the support class of artillery. But having that in phase A, it will be very useful for you in a stalling approach to things. Then I bring those Panzer IV C. What's interesting about this one is that, first of all, this is a support one, which means it's good to support against infantry, and it also have some armor piercing. You have a range of 1 kilometer, but this is actually pretty cheap. It's 80 points, and this is an okay tank for phase A and potentially phase B. Of course, you won't necessarily kill a Sherman with that, but at least you can stall it with the HE rounds. Then I bring some Flamen Werfer, I suppose. This is mostly a complement to your infantry, so you can clear buildings or forest. But they are only 2 men, so that's not that great. Then additional supplies here for your artillery, and then a broom bar, which is a very strong support unit. 25 HE rounds. You can potentially kill tank with this, and this is superbly powerful against buildings, and the area of effect is enormous. So this is a really powerful unit. If you look at the front armor, it's also 14, which make it able to survive a frontal hit by Shermans and a lot of anti-tank. So this is a really good unit, and you only get it in phase B. Do you have more availability? Yeah, you can bring more in phase C, but if you lost that in phase B, it's pretty useless to have it in phase C, let's say. Okay, for the anti-tank capacity, early on I bring some Pak 38 50mm, 3 of them. It's only 55 points, so pretty inexpensive. Also, I bring the version which has a Kubel as a transport, because this is faster on the road, and this means you can deploy these guns early on. This has 10 armor piercing, which make them very effective in phase A. So it's perfect to stall the enemy in phase A while you're waiting for your better stuff to come out. Then I bring the Panzerschreck, and this has an anti-tank gun on this vehicle here, this half-track. So that's a good complement, and that has a range of 1 kilometer. So a good complement to your anti-tank capacity. Also, the infantry is really powerful if you hide them somewhere. Then you have here, this is one of the important units for this particular battle group. You can bring these vehicles, the S307F Pak, in phase A, and this has 13 AP power, so that's really powerful. Also, the range is 1.2 kilometers, so you can outrange most of their tank. This is super important. You only have 2 front armor. It might be vulnerable to airstrike in HE rounds and infantry and whatever, but early on, having this in the field is very deadly to the enemy because of your range and your armor piercing capacity. This is really an important unit for this battle group. Okay, so anti-air, I bring the SDKFZ-72, and this has a good capacity at scaring the enemy away. It won't necessarily kill them, which might become an issue in the long run, but it's better than nothing. You bring that for phase B, and phase C you bring the Flag 88, which is good against plane at the long range. It will scare them faster. and potentially that will allow you to protect your troops a bit better from airstrike, but that's unlikely. Now here you have the Arville Fachwerfer or something like that. Yeah. What's interesting about this is that it's not that good. It won't necessarily kill much enemy, but you have 96 rounds, so that's a lot of rockets, and that will suppress the enemy a lot. So while it doesn't necessarily kill much, it suppresses well, and for most of the battle, suppressing the enemy can be really good, because if you manage to push forward, you will end up into a kind of situation where if you push too fast forward, the enemy won't necessarily... Well, the thing is that the more you push them toward their spawn, the more airstrike you'll get, which is not necessarily to your advantage. So you need to stall them, but you don't necessarily need to kill them all, because that's your King Tiger task. So what you do is you use these rockets, and that's why you need the supply in the support tab. You use the rockets to slow them down, and you pull back slowly and methodically. Now, as the enemy get closer to your spawn, then you bring the King Tiger, which has then a smaller distance to roll. So you just kill everything and push them all the way back. But the thing is that by being far from their spawn, you're preserving your King Tiger from airstrike. Also, the fact that you let them come closer mean that when you bring the King Tiger, it will have way more target to destroy. So that's to your advantage. So this is really a unit which is important for that approach, and the goal here is really to stall the enemy. All your battle group at that point is to stall the enemy. And then when the King Tiger comes, then you push forward and you can beat the enemy easily. So this is an important unit, not for killing, but for stalling. Okay, here. So what's interesting here is I took only Messerschmitt 109, BF 109, G2 BR21. And what's interesting about this is that you have rockets, which have 25 HE, which is good. 36 area of effect. And this is also napalm. So what this does is that this will stun the enemy anti-tank gun, and they will burn if the guy doesn't click to pull back or fall back. And having many of them is useful, because your main enemy as this deck is usually the anti-tank gun. So you need to suppress them with those planes. And of course you won't take over the sky with the way I set it up. So maybe if you play a smaller match than a 10 versus 10, having a fighter might be a good idea. Here you have some pretty good ones, or maybe these. But overall, what's useful here, especially in 10 versus 10, is these, because this is your best asset against anti-tank gun, which need to die before your tank do. So that's very useful. As for the other available planes here, sure, you could go with the fighters. That could be good. Stuka could stall the enemy, but I'm not that convinced. Yeah, I guess you can go with the planes. They are really good air-to-air planes, but your main focus with this battle group is ground fight. Here the bombers are too weak for my taste, so not useful. This one you will target the enemy too few times. And here, sure, you have good anti-tank capacity with these, but they are very slow. They only come in phase C, and you will have a King Tiger, so you don't necessarily need that many anti-tank planes. While here, it's too few, too late, and these take longer to reload than fighters like these. So these, they reload fast, they repair fast, they get in and get out fast, so it's really a good tool for suppression, and I think that's what you should use them for. And it's good complement. Also, you can support elsewhere on the front, and you get them for B phase. So I think that's it for this battle group. And this is a battle group which I use mainly in 10 versus 10. So if you play a smaller match than 10 versus 10, I guess you might want to do some tweaking. But I think the way it is now, it's very balanced. It's very effective in all the phase. And if you use these units well in the right context, I think you can achieve a pretty amazing score. I had some of my highest score in terms of kill death with this battle group. And it's actually really easy to have. So good luck. You don't need much. It's really powerful. So I'll post a video where I show how to use this, and I'll see you there.